And this is Harvard and Zack sitting here for week number 7. And well, I tell you what, this season is flying by. Won't be long until we're like, oh my God, it's end of college basketball, and we're like, when's football starting again? So everybody better make hay while you can. Our producer, boy, they gave us some interesting games this week. We're going to look at Wisconsin, Illinois. Wisconsin, Iowa, the Arizona-Seattle game, and the Minnesota-Philly game. I can't wait to discuss that one as they go back where Sam Bradford started the season this year. Anyway, let's get over to the Wisconsin-Iowa game right now. 90% of the bets are on Wisconsin, and the line is minus 3.5. Wisconsin's 4-2. Coming off two huge games with Michigan and Ohio State, where they played great defensively. They played great. They got a good defensive team. They lost by a total of 14 points. They took OSU to overtime, but Corey Clement, 164 yards rushing last week, and I think it's going to come down to the quarterback play of Alex Hornibrook. He threw. He's going to have to throw. And I think that Iowa, they let Purdue pass for 458 yards with 5 touchdowns. So he's going to be able to at least put it up in the air. But I think Iowa can defend rather handily. Hornibrook for the season, he's only played, I think, 2 or 3 games, but he's got 4 touchdowns. But he also has 5 interceptions. So they, I think in a low-scoring game, here's what you got to look for. You got to look for first of all, Wisconsin won 3 straight games in Iowa City. So Iowa's going to be up for this game. They're 5-2. They're going to get at least 1 turnover. Iowa, they're going to rush Wadley and Daniels. They got 2 good rushing backs. They're going to chew up the clock. On special teams, Desmond King, this guy, he is the king. I mean, on punts and kickoffs, he can control the line where you start with the line of scrimmage. They're going to keep it low scoring. I really think that being that Wisconsin is off 2 huge mentally draining games with Michigan and Ohio State, the fact that Iowa is going to be up for this game like you've never seen, a low scoring game, and I don't even think you're going to need the points. I'd like to see you bet this on the money line. I think the final score is going to be something like 17-13, 17-14, maybe 20-14. But I think Iowa gets the win straight up. So don't bother taking the points in this game. Just bet the game to win outright on the money line.
This is going to be one of those games where we're opposite. That's the good part about doing these videos. We're going to have even opinions, and sometimes we're opposite. This one we're going to be opposite. I think you've got a Wisconsin team that obviously they didn't play well against Michigan, had a chance to win it 14-7 last week. If they would have beat Ohio State, we're talking probably about a 5.5, 6 point spread here. The fact that they didn't, they lost in overtime, probably devalues them here a little bit. Just keep in mind this Iowa team, like you said, is in transition. They're not the same team as last year that were undefeated until they lost to Michigan State that last week of the regular season. So I think right now, you look at Wisconsin, they're 4-2, but they're a little bit grade higher than Iowa. This Big Ten is stronger than last year, and you have to take into consideration how well they played against Michigan and Ohio State, even though they lost both of those games. So I think this is a good buy on the road. Don't look for Wisconsin to have a hangover, because they can basically play that vanilla formula, and they're going to be able to beat a team like Iowa that's not at their top caliber as they've been in past years.
Well, one thing you did say is had they won that game in overtime last week, the line would have been up, and that could explain why 90% of all the bets have come in on Wisconsin. So when you look for following the money, it's very early in the week when we're taping this. So Zack could be right. If the line had been 5.5, I'm sure there wouldn't be 90% of the money. So that could be a false favorite right there with that line. So later in the week, we will get into that. And speaking of later in the week, I want you to make sure that you give me an email, just subject at Harvard, and got my conference game of the year going this week, Big Zack. So coming off that big high roller play last Sunday with Miami Dolphins, straight up outright, beating Pittsburgh. And that was a nice high roller play. So make sure you get a hold of my conference game of the year, and also go to Zack's website. He's going to have a couple of big plays there.